Hey everybody, welcome to my next dish. It's going to be a very healthy dish, something you're going to love. Something we're making with chicken breasts, we're making with teriyaki sauce, pineapple juice, and a whole host of vegetables. You're going to love it. It's going to be easy. Everybody's going to want you to keep making it for them. So sit tight, sit back, put your feet up, or get yourself in the kitchen and let's go. And these are the ingredients we're going to be using today. Baby corn, Mandarin oranges, we have water chestnuts and bamboo shoots. Teriyaki sauce is basically the only sauce we'll be using today. However, we will be adding a little bit of the pineapple juice when we're cooking the chicken. We'll be using baby carrots, broccoli, and a secret ingredient to add a little bit of zest of a taste to it is sesame oil, just a few drops. And today we'll be using chicken breast. I always say chicken thighs are more tender and more flavorful, and I will always say that. But we had breasts today left over from another meal we cooked, so we're going to use up what we have left over in this dish. Okay, now we're going to be cutting some chicken. If you can see my cutting board, it's grooved, it's engraved. It says Ken's Kitchen, World's Best Chef. That's on there in case I forget. I can remind myself, initial for my last name. I don't want to cut chicken on this side because there's too many grooves and cracks and crevices for the chicken to get into. So what I do is I flip it over and I use the back. This is what I use for all my cutting and scraping. I will cut vegetables and things like that on the front, but anything wet I'm going to cut on the back. So let's get started. Here are my 4 chicken breasts. Mostly they're pretty clean, but you can see on this one there's a little bit of fat we want to take off. The fat doesn't cook that well for what we're doing. There's fat underneath the bottom here. You have to watch for it. It's sold by weight, so if they can tuck fat down where you can't see it in the package, you're paying a weight for the fat. So we'll start with one breast here. We'll flip it over, and what we'll do is we'll just trim off any excess fat we're not going to need. And we're going to do that with all 4 of them before we get started. And that's the amount of fat we have left. As you can see, I've cut them into long strips against the grain, but we want bite-sized pieces. Now, when you say bite-size, make them a little bit bigger than you think, just because there's going to be some shrinkage as they cook. And there we have it, a plate of bite-sized, cut-up, raw chicken breasts. These are 2 chicken breasts that were left over. It was more than we needed for the dish, so I've already trimmed off the fat. What I'm going to do is store it in a Ziploc container, squeeze out all the air, and then what I'm going to do is sanitize the cutting board, sanitize my hands, and sanitize the bag before I put it away. A good mixture of sanitizer would be a spray bottle filled 3/4 with warm water, 1 cap of dish soap, 1 cap of bleach. That's all you need. Bleach is a universal sanitizer, whether it comes in liquid or crystal form. Now we're going to prepare our broccoli. This broccoli right here is not the freshest you could find. I did not go out and buy brand new for this dish. This is broccoli been in my refrigerator for 3 or 4 days. Although it had been stored in a sealed container, you can see it's starting to age a little bit. Not everything you make has to be made with brand new store-bought ingredients. Although these are store-bought, they are not brand new. It's a good thing to always use up what you have on hand so you don't waste food. These are too big. They're called florets actually. They're cut off from the main head. So what we want to do is get inside there and in a V-cut. We want to cut the stem out and get more bite-sized pieces. Everything's always in the mind of making bite-sized pieces. You can see how this is all stuck together, but it's too big. So we make a V-cut there, a V-cut on that side, and we can break those down. If you want, you can cut even more of them out, more of the stem. It's all up to you. I feed the stem to my bird. My bird loves them. And there we have a beautiful bowl of broccoli florets ready to be cooked. Now for our baby carrots. You would think that you could cook them whole just as they are. They are a little big for bite size. Not terribly. But we want everything to be as uniform as possible. So all we're going to do now is lay out the carrots, cut them all in half. The smaller ones you can leave. The bigger ones that are making too big of a bite, just cut them in half. You can line them up 5 or 6 in a row like that. Make the cutting easier. However you want to do it. And there we have a beautiful bowl of bite-sized baby carrots. And now it's time to open our cans of vegetables that we're putting in and letting them drain. We're going to open each can, put them into a strainer, let them all sit, and let all the juices drain out. And our mandarin oranges we're going to leave separate from the other vegetables because it will be the very last thing we add to the mixture. Now we're going to start making rice. We're going to get this cooking so it can cook while we're cooking the chicken. There are a lot of ways to do this. There are a lot of methods you're going to hear about. I explained in another video I put out recently, my way is not the definitive way. Another person's way is not the definitive way. You find what works best for you. And I have always found twice as much water as you do rice works out perfect every time. You can boil it on top of the stove. You can use a rice cooker, whichever way you want to do it. I prefer a rice cooker so it can cook without me having to think about it. If you use a pan on top of the stove, put your rice and water in, cold water, bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, stir it once or twice, turn it down low, put a lid on, and check it in 20 minutes. You're probably going to be just about perfect. So here we go. We're going to have to clean our rice first. I like using jasmine rice. This is a rice that seems to be favorite for my family. So since everybody seems to like it the most, this is what we're going to use. So what we're going to do is take 2 cups and put it into the inner liner for the rice cooker. If you can see, as I spin this, most rice cookers have measurements for you for water. I'm going to use this for my rice as well. I'm going to put in 2 cups of rice and then I'm going to rinse it. If you look, you can see that we are at 2 cups. I'll be using cold water. What I do is I fill it so the rice is covered with water and then work off any starch you can. That's what we're doing, is we're removing starch. Then pour out the water. Again, fill it with cold water. Work the rice around with your hand. You can see that water is very cloudy white. That is the starch. You're going to lose a little bit of rice when you do it. It's okay. Now once I notice my water is starting to turn not quite as pale, and I drain it, I work the rice and then I add the water. This gives it more of a grinding. You can do it either way, whatever works best for you. Now you can see that the water is getting less thick with starch. I usually do 3, 4, 5 times. It's up to you. I do it until I feel like I've removed enough starch and I can proceed. This is probably the last time I'm going to do it right here. So I'm removing the starch, pouring it out, and we're going to fill this till it reaches the 4-cup point of water. Now all we're going to do is put it in the rice cooker and get it started. Alright, I have my rice cooker plugged in. The rice is clean. I'm putting in the rice, locking it down. All I got to do is turn on the power. Tell it I want to cook white rice, and when it's blinking, it means it's starting. This spinner only tells you it's heating up. When it becomes numbers, it'll start to count down. I believe it does it at the 12-minute mark. And you can see you only have 12 minutes left. And it'll beep when it is done. Now you can see I'm using my Lodge cast iron pan, and I am also going to be using my Lodge cast iron wok. Lodge does not pay me to tell you this, so I want you to know the reason I'm telling you this is because it's the best cast iron you can buy for your money. Before we begin, I'm going to be turning the heat on to my cast iron skillet on high. I want the entire skillet to get hot. The best way to check is to run your hand 8 inches over the skillet. When you can feel the heat here, as hot as it's going to be there, it's time to start. Now I'm not going to be using any kind of oils today because I don't want my chicken brown and crunchy. I want it cooked and to be a softer bite, to be softer with the dish. So we're going to add a little bit of water to get it started when it's hot, and the chicken will start cooking and releasing its own juices as it cooks. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes. Skillet is pretty hot. Now, remember this, if you're using cast iron, it isn't very important whether you use hot or cold water at this point, because cast iron is the very best for dispersing heat. In other words, when you add something to the pan, whatever you add is not going to take heat away from the pan, because that pan is hot everywhere, all the way down into the handle. If you're using a Teflon pan, stainless steel, when you add anything to it, it reduces the heat from the pan. So people are tempted to turn the heat up to compensate for it. You don't need to. You just got to wait for the pan to compensate. So we're using cast iron because I've always said it's the best. We're going to add just a cup of water to start. And you can see that's pretty hot. It's still very, very, very hot to the touch. So we're going to let that cook down just a little bit. Something I forgot to tell you earlier we're going to do right now is we're going to add some pineapple juice. All of our chicken at the same time. And we're going to stir it and let it cook. Now you'll notice I didn't add any salt. I didn't add any pepper. We're not going for that flavor here. We're going to have enough sodium in our teriyaki. Not as much sodium as we would have in soy sauce. But we're not looking for a salty, peppery flavor. We're looking for a chickeny, vegetable-y, ricey flavor. And we're going to let that cook now for about 5 minutes. Now you can see it's only been 3 minutes. It's very, very hot again. That cast iron really retains its heat. Now you can see that the chicken is white. That's what we're going for. We're not going for the brown, breaded, crispy chicken. We're going for a nice, evenly cooked, tender, white chicken. Now I've got as much of the pink down into the water and the pineapple juice as I could. And we're going to let that cook again until it starts to bubble. Here we are again at 3 more minutes. And it is cooking up perfectly. What we're going to do now, because the chicken is not complete, I'd say the chicken's about 80% done. We're going to add our broccoli, because we want it to start cooking down. We don't have to be as crunchy as raw. and our carrots. Remember, this is a chicken vegetable dish. Vegetables are good for you, they say. Now I'm going to stir this up. And the only thing we're going to change now is, once we've got everything in the water and everything wet, we're going to put a lid on it. We didn't put a lid before because we wanted to let some of the water cook down and reduce. Now I don't have a lid for this size, but this one fits perfectly. We're still leaving it on high. We've got a lid to start steaming our vegetables. We're going to give it a full 5 minutes this time. Now we're just checking in. It's been a little over 2 minutes, just so you can see what it should look like now. If yours is looking like this at 2 minutes, it's perfect. Now here we are at 3 minutes, so you can monitor yours compared to mine. Now at 4 minutes, when it was on high, you can see it'll start to boil over a little bit. It's time to turn the heat down. If it starts to boil over, turn it down to medium. You can see all the steam in the top, all those bubbles. That's what's cooking the broccoli. That's what's cooking the carrots and making them soft on top. So like I said, at 4 minutes, mine started to boil over, so I turned it down to medium for the last minute. Now here we are at 5 minutes. It's starting to boil over again here and there, so we can actually turn it all the way down to low now and take the lid off. Get an oven mitt just to make sure your hand doesn't burn when you do this. And what we're going to do now is take out a piece of broccoli and a carrot and test it. And here we go. The best way to do it is to simply bite it. And that is perfect. And that is perfect. Now, we're going to strain the chicken and the carrots and the broccoli the same way we strain water out of potatoes. If you look, you'll see I have cold water running in the sink. The cold water is to prevent the pipes from being hurt by the hot water. You don't want to rinse your chicken. You just want that cold water to offset the temperature of the hot water you just poured in there. Now, you guessed it, it's time for our large wok. With our heat off, we're going to add some juices to the wok to begin with. We're going to add about a half a cup or a blurble of pineapple juice. Maybe 3/4 of a cup. It's a blurble. And we're going to start adding our teriyaki sauce. First, I'm going to use the remainder of a bottle I had, then 3/4 of another bottle. This is also blurble. Blurble, blurble, blurble. Now we can turn that on to medium. We can add our entire chicken mixture slowly so we don't splatter it everywhere. And we're going to let this get warm before we add any other vegetables. Once your mixture is in, get it stirred up. Get everything into the juices. Get everything into the teriyaki sauce, the pineapple juice. You want everything cooking together. Now remember, we started this in a cold pan or a room temperature pan, so it's going to come up to heat. It's going to take about 5 minutes to get hot, but everything's slowly raising in temperature at the same time that the juice is. Our timing at this point couldn't be any better because we only have 8 minutes left on the rice. With a dish like this, timing can be kind of important. It can also not be, depending on how perfect you want it to be in your own mind. Not everything is ever always going to finish at the same exact time. It takes a little practice. I got lucky today. Everything worked out exact. By the time my rice is done, the other vegetables in with the chicken will have cooked a perfect amount of time, and we'll have a ready dish to go. It's all up to you. If your rice is done way ahead of time, that's fine. If it's not done yet when everything else is cooked, the chicken can stay in the wok and stay warm till your rice is done. It's all up to you. So, timing isn't as important as you think. It's only as important as you make it. Since a wok is cooked open on the top, it doesn't heat as fast as a pan might that has a lid. So to help speed things along, we can put this lid and just cover the product a little bit. It doesn't have to cover the whole pan. That's going to trap enough heat in to help speed up the process. Now we let it cook for 5 minutes on medium. With the lid still on, I've turned the heat up to high. We're going to give it 5 more minutes, and then we can add the bamboo shoots and the corn, and our rice will be done, and we'll be good to go. All right, if you look closely, you can see now it's starting to boil and bubble around the outside edges. So we're at a perfect point to take our lid off. Always tilt your lid sideways. Let the water run off. There is our timer for our rice. It is done. And at this point, what we're going to do is stir what we have. Oh, it smells delicious. And we're going to taste it. Oh, that's delicious. It's hot. But I just noticed by tasting it just now, there's something missing. Our sesame sauce, oil, sesame sauce, sesame seed oil. There it is. There's that little bit of sesame oil taste. Oh, that is delicious. Let's add the rest of our vegetables now. You can see that it's boiling, so we're going to put just everything in all at once. All of those vegetables we had straining and draining and removing the moisture, we put them all in at once, and we're not going to turn the heat down until we have everything mixed together. We want to get those bamboo shoots in there. Remember, bamboo shoots, water chestnuts, and baby corn, we actually want those to be a little bit crunchy. That's the nature of them. The nature of carrots and broccoli is to be a little bit softer. And that's why we did what we did. If you want everything soft, let it cook in here for another 15-20 minutes. On high to medium high. If you want to change the order, the sooner you put something in, the softer it's going to be at the end. There we go. Now, we've got everything in there. Everything's mixed. We're going to turn our heat down to medium, and we're going to wait 4 minutes, get some rice, get some mix, get some oranges on it, and eat it. Okay, I think it's ready. We can still see on medium-low heat, or medium-high heat, it's bubbling. Our carrots are softer, our broccoli is softer, our water chestnuts and bamboo shoots and baby corn are still crunchy. Our rice is done. Time to try a bite. At this point, if you wanted it a little bit sweeter, you could add some more pineapple juice. You could even add brown sugar. It's up to you. I like that tangy, earthy taste. My family likes it this way. You can add more teriyaki sauce if you like. You could add soy sauce, but I would recommend against it. It's a little too salty. So just rice, on top of that, the chicken, put a little sauce on it, and it's going to be good. Let's try it. And there we are. It's done. It's delicious. Oh, it looks so good. Let's get a bite of it. Oh, we're dropping oranges everywhere. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little more juice to mine. A little more broth. Hot. But man, is it good. It's done. It's perfect. It's delicious. Make this. Let me know what you think. Hold on. Don't let any go to waste. At this point, I'm just going to ask you real quick, please. Please like, please subscribe. Please tell your friends. If you don't have any friends, tell the people you know. Like, subscribe, follow me anywhere you can. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on X, and of course here on YouTube. You can find me at CHEFKENDAD.com, CHEFKENDAD.INFO, and for those of you who are new, because I say this all the time, I teach the small humans how to make this at a place called Outschool.com. If you have a small human between 6 and 18, if you've never been on Outschool before, you can get your first class free by using the code CHEFKENDAD20. It's case sensitive. So use CHEFKENDAD20 at Outschool.com. Get your first class free. You can have them do it with me, any class on Outschool. That works on any class. So enjoy. Help spread the word. Let me know how I'm doing. Go eat. Take care, folks. Now it's time to open our cans of vegetables that we're putting in and letting them drain. We're going to